Welcome to another Here and See production. On this episode, we are talking about working with actors on a low budget. So there are three things you need to know about working with actors on a low budget. And those three things will help you find the right actors, get the best out of your actors, and be able to move quickly on set with your actors. Because, we all know that time is money in every level of production. So for me, someone who doesn't live in New York or LA, it was talented to grow my network in a way that I could pull in talented actors onto my set. So I had to get creative about how I found them and got connected with them and working with them to grow together as I grew as a director and they grew as actors to make projects that we were both really proud about. So I think there's lots of ways to find actors, but maybe these three ways will help you working with actors on a lower budget. So the first thing that I would tell you that if you are working on a low budget is to find actors that have experience. That's may seem like an obvious one, but you never know how many people say that they're an actress and actor, but really they're just a model and they've never been in a film. They've never been in theater. They've never actually acted and had to read lines and pull characters out. And that was a big surprise for me in my first couple of projects, is realizing the difference between someone saying that they're an aspiring actress or actor or actually being an actor. And so finding people who've been in other short films, feature films, people who have experience that are looking for something as, that's an indie passion project. Like a lot of people don't get to choose the roles that they want to be in. I had one guy who was a feature film actor in theaters across the country, and he was willing to do my role for significantly less in my movie simply because it was a challenging role that he hadn't played before. And he was like, look, if you can make me the highest paid person on your project, regardless of what that rate is, I will do it because I will support you. And I don't get to play characters like this. So this will be fun for me. So you just shoot your shot, ask people and see if they're willing to do something different because it's challenging and growing them. And then another way that you think about experience may not necessarily be on set, but like, can you hire someone for the role that they're in? So a lot of times when I don't have a lot of money, but let's say that I have a teacher in a scene, or I have a yoga instructor in a scene, or I have a basketball coach in a scene, hire someone who's actually that profession. Hire someone who's actually a barber to play a barber in your movie, because then they're not acting, they're just being themselves. And I've had a lot of people be like, man, like that yoga instructor was really dope. Like, where did you find him? I was like, he was my yoga instructor when I went to Chicago. Like, that's what he does every single day. And all I had to do was put the camera on him and ask him, like, be yourself. Didn't even write lines for him. And those are like the little tricks that I think save you a lot of money as a director, finding actors, is that there are people who want to be in movies that are around that will do the thing that you ask them to do and maybe really, flamboyant on camera and have a great personality, but they're not going to go to acting school and put in the work to be an actor because that's not their dream. But you can help them live out a secondary cool passion by inviting them to be in your movie and play a role that they're familiar with. So I would say the number one way to work with actors on a low budget is to find people who are experienced. The number two thing you should look out for when you are working with actors on a low budget is look for actors who are reliable, actors who show up, because I will tell you, the person with the most talent may not be the best fit. If they're going to say, I got 5-6 movies that I'm working on right now, and this is just one of those movies, and you can't get them to email you back, text you back, you're trying to get their wardrobe figured out and they're slow, which is slowing down your costume design, which is slowing down your producer from finishing a budget, versus someone who is readily responding, that is trying their best to uncover every little detail about this character, I would take actor B every single time. Like, there actually was a time where I wrote a character for an actor because I thought he would be a great fit for the role. I liked some of his other projects, but once I started communicating with him, I started noticing that he wasn't as serious about this project as I would like for him to be in this lead role. And so I opened it up to auditions and found someone else who may not have been as experienced, but was really invested in the character. And then on me, Now, as a director, it's up to me to help him get his best performance out of him. That's what we do as directors. So you get someone who's committed to the role, someone who's going to show up, who's going to be reliable, who's going to ask questions, who's going to dig and try to find their best work and push them to help them create their best work on camera, versus someone who's looking at this as a check and saying, you know, I got other projects I'm working on. I don't really care how this turns out. That's never going to bring your best project to life or your scenes to life. So I would say the second rule of working with actors on a low budget is finding people who are reliable and passionate about your work. The third way to work with actors on a lower budget is rehearsals. I cannot emphasize this enough. This may be the number one most important ways to working with actors on a low budget. Rehearsals, rehearsals, rehearsals. I cannot tell you the fruit that has come out of rehearsing my scenes with actors. For me, I always say that, like, when I write a script, the script is like a roadmap. And, you know, this is where we're going. This is the destination we're going. And when we do table reads, I would say, you know, sometimes the actors, you know, want to make different pit stops and like say, is this the right direction we're heading? Like this, can we change some things here? And that's what I love. I love getting feedback from the actors, because if you cast the right people for the role, they should, by the end of it, know the character better than you do. They should be asking the right questions. They should say, you know, I don't think this character would say this way. I don't think they would talk like this. Like they're from this style of life and they would actually say it differently. It gives them ownership to change certain lines to not be verbatim, to allow them to own the character as well. And now, of course, some lines have to say exactly the way they're written because they set up other things in a movie and they're important, you know, significant. But other smaller things that are able to be changed are really come to light when you start reading it out loud versus reading it to yourself on paper. And so I say the thing that I've learned in rehearsals is that it gives you that one-on-one time with your cast to work through the script together, to work through motivations, to work through just whatever you feel like the scene needs to be successful. And so a lot of times, you know, people who don't make movies might not know this, but you may not read what other people are doing in their scenes. You may work an entire movie and never be in the same scene with some of your other co-stars and not see how they act. And so one thing that I like to do is I like to get all the actors, the entire cast together, read the script from beginning to end. Everyone's able to act out the scene, see the scene, and you're able to see the energy that someone's bringing and a scene that you may not be in, that you won't be on set for one day. But now as an actor, you have it in your mind like, oh, they went really hard in this scene. And then my scene is next in the script, so I can't not come hard too. Or you may see that someone was really emotional in the scene before and that this character is stepping into your scene differently because you saw how they acted before. And so it's those moments that allows the cast to feed off of each other in a way that doesn't always happen on set because there's just not enough time, that you can do with rehearsals on a lower budget. And so I would say another thing that rehearsals save you for is time on set. If you spend one-on-one time, 20, 30 minutes talking to an actor about their motivation in their scenes, you're losing a lot of daylight or a lot of time in a location that you could be focusing on taking takes and getting the shots you want. And so if you do all the pre-work and rehearsals, 2 or 3, however many you need to feel really confident about where your actors are at, then by the time you get on set, it's just flowing. It's like we are knocking stuff out. I've had a few projects that I've shot and it was the most important scenes of the movie, but because of the way we had to shoot, now we are 20 minutes, 30 minutes left in our location before we have to wrap for the day. And it's the longest scene of the movie. It's the most important, impactful scene in the movie. How are you going to show up as actors? Well, you've already had 3, 4 rehearsals with me. You know exactly what I expect, where you to be, what inflections I want. So when I say we only got 1 take for this or 2 takes, and this is the most important scene, they nailed it. And I was a proud director because I was like, bro, y'all killed that. And that would not have happened if we didn't rehearse. And so you don't always have, like when you have a low budget, you don't have time to come back or the money to come back for a second day or third day just because takes were running long. So anything you can do to save time on set, I would say you should do it up front. And that's what rehearsals does. I mean, one time I wrote a script and it was this really emotional scene where the lead actor is calling his wife and she's giving him bad news. And I didn't really think when I wrote it that we needed to film her reaction because it was really about the lead actor's role, and he was driving in a car and we were just going to do voiceover of his wife. Well, we had her come in and read the scene, and she did such a powerful job reading that I was like, all right, never mind. We got to add another day of shooting because we got to get her on camera doing this because this is too powerful to just leave for a voiceover. And fast forward to finishing the movie, she was nominated for Best Lead Actor in a film festival just off of that one scene. And so it's things like that that would never happen if you don't do rehearsals and you don't get the chance to see your cast acted out. So to recap, I would say if you're a filmmaker on a lower budget and you're trying to find actors for your script, then look for people who have experience. Get creative with the people you hire. Find people who've been on short films. Find people who fit certain roles and can do it naturally. And then make sure you hire people who are reliable, who are invested in the script. And thirdly, rehearse with them, practice with them, do the reps, and put in the work as a director, as a teacher, as a creative. So when you get on set, everybody is just ready to perform, almost like the camera is just the audience waiting to capture what you guys have been practicing. So if you like this style of content and you want to continue following me as a filmmaker, following my film career, like my company page here in C Productions on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel where I'll continue dropping more episodes like this so you can hear and see what we have going on at our company.